deepens and the world outside quiets down, I invite you to join me on a peaceful journey to the enchanted kingdom of Seraphine, where magic blooms under the starlit sky, and courage shines in the heart of a brave princess. Let your mind drift as we step into a world of ancient forests, shimmering flowers, and gentle whispers of adventure. Allow the soft tones of this tale to wrap around you, guiding you toward a restful sleep, where dreams of distant lands and heroic quests await. Now close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let the story unfold. Chapter 1. The Glowing Blossom. In the kingdom of Seraphine, nestled between rolling hills and glistening rivers, a new dawn was breaking. The morning light caressed the meadows and forests, casting a golden hue over the land. It was on such a morning that a humble daisy, growing in the heart of the royal gardens, began to glow with an ethereal light. This was no ordinary glow. It was as if the daisy had captured the essence of the stars themselves. Word of the miraculous bloom spread swiftly through the kingdom. The villagers, with eyes wide in wonder, spoke in hushed tones about the magical flower that radiated starlight. Children, with their boundless curiosity, begged their parents to take them to the royal gardens to witness the phenomenon. Even the most skeptical among the villagers found themselves drawn to the gardens, unable to resist the allure of the mysterious daisy. The palace grounds were soon abuzz with excitement. Courtiers and servants alike whispered about the flower, their faces alight with a mixture of awe and apprehension. It wasn't long before news of the glowing daisy reached the ears of Princess Rosalind. Princess Rosalind was known throughout Seraphine for her adventurous spirit and kind heart. With her flowing auburn hair and emerald green eyes, she was a vision of grace and beauty. But it was her insatiable curiosity and fearless nature that endeared her most to the people. The tales of the glowing flower intrigued her deeply, and she resolved to see it for herself. One balmy evening, as the sky deepened to a velvety twilight and the first stars began to twinkle, Rosalind slipped out of her chambers. She moved with practiced stealth through the palace corridors, her footsteps silent on the polished marble floors. The night air was cool against her skin as she stepped into the gardens, the fragrance of blooming flowers mingling with the earthy scent of the soil. The garden was bathed in the soft glow of the daisy. Rosalind followed the light, her heart quickening with anticipation. As she drew nearer, she saw the daisy standing tall amidst the other flowers, its petals shimmering with a silvery light. She knelt beside it, reaching out a tentative hand to touch the delicate bloom. The moment her fingers brushed the petals, a warm, soothing light enveloped her. She felt a strange sense of peace and wonder, as if she were connected to something far greater than herself. The glow intensified, casting dancing shadows on the garden walls, and Rosalind felt a whisper of ancient magic in the air. Back in the palace, the royal historian, an elderly man named Aaron, was poring over ancient texts in his candlelit study. The flickering flames cast eerie shadows over the parchment as he read aloud the legend of the Starlight daisy. In times of great need, when darkness threatens the land, a daisy will bloom with the light of the stars. It shall guide the pure of heart on a quest of great importance, leading them to the fulfillment of their destiny. As Aaron's voice echoed in the quiet of his study, Rosalind felt a deep resonance with the words. She knew, without a doubt, that the glowing daisy had chosen her for a purpose yet to be revealed. Little did she know, her resolve would soon be tested in ways she could never have imagined. For in the coming days, a shadow would fall over the kingdom, and the fate of Seraphine would rest in the hands of the adventurous princess and the magical daisy that glowed with the light of the stars. The night after Rosalind's encounter with the glowing daisy, the palace was filled with an air of expectancy. Servants went about their duties with hushed whispers, while courtiers speculated on the significance of the miraculous bloom. Princess Rosalind, however, was preoccupied with the vision that had consumed her thoughts since the previous evening. She spent the morning poring over the ancient texts in the royal library, seeking more information about the Starlight daisy. Scrolls and tomes lay scattered across the grand oak table as she sifted through pages yellowed with age. The legend Aaron had recited echoed in her mind, a bloom that appeared only in times of great need, guiding the pure of heart on a quest of destiny. As the day wore on, her search bore fruit. In an obscure volume, she found a passage that caught her eye. "The Starlight daisy," it read, "blooms to herald a quest that will restore balance to the realm. Its light will guide the chosen on a path of courage and wisdom, leading to the resolution of a great crisis." Rosalind's heart quickened. Could this be the crisis that threatened her beloved kingdom? She pondered the meaning behind the glowing daisy and the ancient words. Her thoughts were interrupted by a knock on the library door. It was Aaron, the royal historian, his wizened face creased with concern. "Your Highness," he said, bowing deeply, "I bring troubling news. The royal crown has been stolen from the vault." Rosalind gasped, her mind reeling. The royal crown was not just a symbol of the monarchy. It was a powerful artifact that embodied the kingdom's peace and prosperity. Its loss would plunge Seraphine into chaos. "Who could have done this?" she asked, her voice trembling. "The culprit is none other than the dark sorcerer, Malakar," Aaron replied grimly. "He left a taunting message claiming the crown and threatening to bring darkness upon our land." Rosalind's resolve hardened. "The Starlight daisy chose me," she said, her voice firm. "I must embark on this quest to retrieve the crown and save our kingdom." Aaron nodded, his eyes filled with a mix of pride and worry. "You are indeed the chosen one, Princess Rosalind. The daisy's light will guide you, but the path ahead will be fraught with danger. You must prepare carefully. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky blazed with the hues of twilight, Rosalind stood in her chambers, gathering supplies for her journey. She donned a simple yet sturdy tunic and cloak, eschewing the finery of her royal attire for the practicality of a traveller. Her father, King Alaric, and mother, Queen Seraphina, entered her room, their faces etched with a mix of sorrow and determination. "Rosalind, our brave daughter," King Alaric said, embracing her. "We are proud of your courage, but we are also fearful for your safety. You carry the hope of Seraphine with you." Queen Seraphina held her close, her eyes glistening with tears. "Remember, my child, the strength of your heart and the wisdom of your ancestors will be your greatest allies. Trust in the daisy's light and in yourself." With their blessings and a heart full of resolve, Rosalind made her way to the royal gardens once more. The starlight daisy glowed brighter than ever, its light pulsing as if acknowledging her decision. She knelt beside the flower, whispering a silent vow to restore the crown and protect her kingdom. As she rose, the daisy's glow intensified, casting a radiant path that led beyond the palace walls and into the unknown. With a final glance at her home, Rosalind stepped forward, her journey beginning under the watchful eyes of the stars and the guiding light of the magical daisy. The enchanted forest awaited her, a realm of beauty and peril, where the boundaries between the natural and the magical blurred. Rosalind's heart was a mixture of fear and excitement as she followed the daisy's light, each step bringing her closer to her destiny and the challenge that lay ahead. As the first light of dawn began to seep through the dense canopy of the enchanted forest, Princess Rosalind found herself walking along a path that seemed to shimmer with an ethereal glow. The starlight daisy, now securely nestled in a pouch at her side, emitted a soft guiding light that illuminated her way. She marveled at the forest around her, where ancient trees towered like silent sentinels, their leaves whispering secrets in the early morning breeze. Her thoughts wandered back to the royal historian Aaron's library, where she had first delved into the mysteries of the starlight daisy. It was in those dusty tomes that she had uncovered the full legend of the magical flower, a tale that had become inextricably linked with her quest. According to the ancient texts, the starlight daisy was born from the tears of a celestial being who had fallen to earth long ago. This being, known as Astria, was said to have wept for the sorrows of the world, and where her tears fell, daisies of light sprang forth. These blooms, imbued with her celestial essence, had the power to illuminate the path of those destined to undertake great quests. Rosalind remembered reading about the daisy's powers. Its light could reveal hidden truths, guide the lost, and protect against the dark forces that sought to bring harm. Yet, It was also said that the flower's true strength lay in its ability to amplify the inner qualities of its bearer, reflecting their courage, wisdom, and purity of heart. Her reflections were interrupted by the sudden appearance of a small, luminous creature flitting through the air. It was a pixie, its tiny wings shimmering like opals in the dawn light. The pixie darted around Rosalind playfully before landing lightly on her shoulder. "Greetings, Princess Rosalind," the pixie said in a voice like tinkling bells. "I am Leora, a guardian of the enchanted forest. The Starlight Daisy has chosen you, and I am here to aid you on your quest." Rosalind smiled at the tiny creature, her heart warming at the unexpected companionship. "Thank you, Leora. Your presence is most welcome. Can you tell me more about the forest and what lies ahead?" Leora's wings fluttered as she nodded. The enchanted forest is a place of both beauty and danger. It is home to many magical creatures, some friendly and others not. To reach Malika's lair, you must traverse the forest of whispers and the valley of echoes. Each place will test your resolve and spirit. But fear not, for the Starlight Daisy will light your way, and I will guide you through the challenges. As they journeyed deeper into the forest, Rosalind listened intently to Leora's stories. The forest of whispers, they learned, was a realm where the trees spoke in hushed tones, their voices weaving a tapestry of memories and dreams. It was said that those who entered had to decipher the whispers to find their true path, a task that required both patience and clarity of mind. Beyond the forest of whispers lay the valley of echoes, a place where the very air seemed to pulse with ancient power. Here, the valley amplified the thoughts and emotions of those who passed through, forcing them to confront their innermost fears and doubts. Only by overcoming these internal struggles could one emerge unscathed. Rosalind felt a mixture of apprehension and determination. The trials ahead sounded daunting, but she trusted in the guidance of the Starlight Daisy and the support of her new pixie friend. As they pressed on, the forest began to change, the light filtering through the trees, taking on a more surreal, almost otherworldly quality. They arrived at the edge of a glade where the trees seemed to lean in closer, their branches intertwined in a protective embrace. It was here that the whispers began, soft, almost imperceptible at first, like the distant murmur of a crowd. Rosalind took a deep breath, focusing on the daisy's light and the calm it brought her. With Leora by her side, she stepped into the glade, ready to listen to the whispers of the forest and unlock the secrets that would lead her closer to her goal. The Starlight Daisy pulsed with a gentle light, its glow a beacon of hope and reassurance in the gathering dusk. As Rosalind braved the forest of whispers, back at the palace, a storm of worry and fear swirled. The theft of the royal crown had sent shockwaves through the kingdom of Seraphine. The once bustling courts now echoed with anxious murmurs and the hurried footsteps of messengers delivering grave news. King Alaric stood at the heart of the turmoil, his usually composed demeanour strained. He had summoned his most trusted advisers to the great hall, their faces reflecting his own concern. Maps and ancient scrolls were spread across the long table, each document a testament to the kingdom's rich history and the power that the crown represented. The great hall, with its high vaulted ceilings and stained glass windows depicting legendary heroes, felt colder and more foreboding than ever before. Sunlight, usually pouring in vibrant hues, now seemed muted, as if the kingdom itself mourned the loss of its most precious symbol. Queen Seraphina, her regal poise unwavering, stood beside her husband, her hands clasped tightly. "We must remain strong for our people," she said, her voice steady yet edged with concern. "Rosalind is our hope, and we must trust in her strength and the guidance of the Starlight Daisy." Among the advisors was Aaron, the royal historian, who had become increasingly vital since the crisis began. His knowledge of the kingdom's lore and legends was unmatched. "Your Majesties," he began, his voice grave. "The loss of the crown is not just a blow to our authority. It is a direct threat to the magic that protects Seraphine. Without the crown, our defenses are weakened." The king nodded, his expression resolute. "What news of Rosalind?" he asked, looking to Aaron. "Princess Rosalind has ventured into the enchanted forest, guided by the light of the Starlight Daisy," Aaron replied. "She has already faced the forest of whispers. If she can decipher its secrets, she will move closer to confronting Malakar." A hush fell over the room. The advisors exchanged glances, their worry evident. The enchanted forest was known for its enchantments and perils, and the path Rosalind had chosen was fraught with danger. Suddenly, the doors of the great hall burst open, and a young messenger, breathless and wide-eyed, rushed in. "Your Majesties," he panted, "news from the southern border. There are reports of dark creatures emerging from the Shadowlands. It seems Malakar's power grows with each passing day." King Alaric's fists clenched. "We must fortify our defenses," he commanded. "Send word to our allies. Prepare the armies. We cannot let Malakar's influence spread." As preparations for the kingdom's defense intensified, Queen Seraphina found a moment of solace in the royal chapel. She knelt before a grand, intricately carved altar, her hands resting on the cool stone. The chapel was a sanctuary of peace, its walls adorned with images of deities and ancient protectors. "Guide her," she whispered, her voice breaking the stillness. "Let the light of the Starlight Daisy protect her. Bring her back to us safely." Meanwhile, in the enchanted forest, Rosalind had reached the heart of the forest of whispers. The murmurs had grown louder, weaving around her like an invisible tapestry of voices. Some spoke of forgotten dreams and hidden fears, while others offered cryptic guidance. "Trust in the light," one voice whispered, gentle yet firm. "The path is revealed through the heart." Rosalind closed her eyes, focusing on the daisy's glow. She felt a surge of warmth and clarity, the whispers transforming from chaotic noise to a harmonious guide. Each step forward felt purposeful, the light leading her through the forest's labyrinthine paths. With Leora fluttering beside her, Rosalind finally emerged from the forest of whispers, her spirit bolstered by the knowledge she had gained. She had listened to the forest, understood its message, and strengthened her resolve. Ahead lay the Valley of Echoes, a place where she would confront her innermost fears. But Rosalind felt ready, her heart steadfast and her mind clear. The path of light continued to guide her, the starlight daisy a beacon of hope in the ever-deepening twilight. With each step, she moved closer to reclaiming the stolen crown and restoring peace to her beloved kingdom. With the whispers of the enchanted forest behind her, Princess Rosalind stood at the edge of the Valley of Echoes, a vast expanse stretching out before her. The landscape was both haunting and beautiful, with rolling hills and deep ravines that seemed to hum with a faint, almost musical resonance. The air was filled with an eerie stillness, and Rosalind could feel the power of the place seeping into her very soul. Beside her, Leora hovered, her delicate wings fluttering with a quiet determination. "The Valley of Echoes will test you, Princess," she said softly. "It will reflect your innermost fears and doubts. But remember, the Starlight Daisy will guide you, and I will be by your side." Rosalind nodded, her grip tightening on the pouch that held the glowing flower. Taking a deep breath, she stepped into the valley, the ground beneath her feet resonating with a low, almost imperceptible hum. Each step seemed to amplify the sounds around her, turning her footsteps into a symphony of echoes. As she ventured deeper, the valley began to work its magic. The air grew thick with whispers, much like the forest of whispers, but these were different. They were not the soft murmurings of ancient trees, but the amplified reverberations of her own thoughts and emotions. The valley seemed to pulse with her heartbeat, each echo a reflection of her inner self. At first, the echoes were benign, reflecting her determination and courage. But as she continued, they began to shift, revealing her fears and insecurities. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, filling her mind with doubts. "You cannot succeed," they taunted. "The darkness is too great. Malika's power is beyond your reach." Rosalind paused, her heart pounding. The doubts threatened to overwhelm her, but she focused on the light of the Starlight Daisy. Its glow pierced through the shadows of her mind, providing a beacon of hope and strength. "You are stronger than you know," she whispered to herself, drawing on the daisy's light. You carry the hope of Seraphine. You must succeed. As she walked on, she encountered visions that seemed to spring from the echoes themselves. She saw her parents, their faces lined with worry. She saw her people, their eyes filled with fear and despair. And she saw Malacca, his dark presence looming over the kingdom like a malevolent shadow. Each vision tested her resolve, but Rosalind pressed on, her steps guided by the daisy's light. Leora flitted beside her, offering words of encouragement and comfort. The pixie's presence was a steadying force, reminding Rosalind that she was not alone in her quest. After what felt like hours, Rosalind reached the heart of the valley, a place where the echoes converged into a cacophony of sound. It was here that she faced her greatest challenge. The echoes swirled around her, forming a vortex of sound and emotion. In the center of the vortex stood a shadowy figure, a manifestation of her deepest fears. "You are not strong enough," the figure hissed, its voice a chorus of echoes. "You will fail, and the kingdom will fall." Rosalind stood tall, her heart filled with a defiant resolve. "I will not fail," she declared, her voice clear and strong. "I have the strength of my ancestors, the guidance of the Starlight Daisy, and the love of my people."
"I will succeed." The figure recoiled, the power of her conviction pushing it back. The light of the daisy flared, filling the valley with a brilliant radiance that dispelled the shadows and silenced the echoes. The vision shattered, leaving Rosalind standing alone in the now quiet valley. A sense of profound peace settled over her. She had faced her fears and emerged stronger. The path ahead was still fraught with danger, but she knew she was ready. With Leora by her side and the Starlight Daisy guiding her way, she continued her journey toward Malakar's lair. The valley behind her, Rosalind felt a renewed sense of purpose. The echoes had tested her, but they had also shown her the depth of her strength and determination. She was more than just a princess on a quest. She was a beacon of hope for her kingdom. And with that hope lighting her way, she would not falter. The Valley of Echoes lay behind her, a conquered realm of shadows and whispers. Princess Rosalind pressed onward, her steps firm with the resolve forged in the heart of the valley. Ahead loomed the entrance to the enchanted forest, its towering trees and dense foliage, a gateway to a world of ancient magic and unseen perils. The forest's canopy intertwined like a woven tapestry, filtering the sunlight into delicate, shifting patterns on the forest floor. Leora, ever watchful, flitted beside Rosalind, her wings catching the light and casting tiny rainbows.
"This forest is alive with enchantment, Princess," she said, her voice tinged with both caution and awe. "Its magic can be both wondrous and dangerous. Stay close and let the Starlight Daisy guide you." Rosalind nodded, her grip on the pouch containing the daisy tightening. She took a deep breath, stepping into the forest's embrace. The air was cool and fragrant, with the scent of pine and moss. The silence was profound, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant calls of unseen creatures. As they ventured deeper, the forest seemed to come alive. The trees whispered secrets in a language older than time, their branches reaching out like ancient arms. Flowers that glowed with their own inner light bloomed along the path, and the air shimmered with motes of magic. Rosalind felt a sense of wonder, tempered by the knowledge that the forest could also be a place of great danger. The path twisted and turned, sometimes vanishing altogether, but the starlight daisy's glow remained steady, illuminating the way. Rosalind followed its light, each step taking her further into the heart of the forest. She could feel the magic growing stronger, a palpable presence that thrummed in the air and pulsed beneath her feet. After several hours, they reached a clearing where the trees parted to reveal a small, tranquil pond. The water was crystal clear, reflecting the sky above and the surrounding trees in perfect symmetry. Rosalind knelt beside the pond, taking a moment to rest and gather her thoughts. As she gazed into the water, she saw her reflection mingling with the reflection of the starlight daisy's glow, creating an image that seemed to capture the essence of her journey. Leora hovered nearby, her expression thoughtful. "This pond is a place of reflection, Princess," she said. "Many who have passed through this forest have stopped here to contemplate their path. It is said that the waters hold the power to reveal truths to those who seek them." Intrigued, Rosalind leaned closer, her eyes searching the depths of the pond. As she gazed into the water, the reflections began to shift and change, revealing scenes from her past and glimpses of possible futures. She saw herself as a child, exploring the palace gardens with the same sense of wonder that now guided her through the forest. She saw her parents, their faces filled with love and pride, and she saw herself standing before Malika, the crown in her hands, a symbol of her victory and the kingdom's salvation. The vision gave her strength. Rising to her feet, Rosalind felt a renewed sense of purpose. She turned to Leora, determination in her eyes. "The forest holds many secrets, but I will not be swayed from my path. We must continue." They pressed on, the path becoming more treacherous as the forest grew denser. Strange, beautiful creatures watched from the shadows, their eyes glowing with curiosity. Some were friendly, offering guidance and gifts of wisdom. Others were wary, their distrust evident in their furtive glances. Rosalind greeted each encounter with respect and gratitude, understanding that the forest's inhabitants were as much a part of its magic as the trees and flowers. As twilight descended, the forest took on an even more mystical quality. The air grew cooler, and the sounds of nocturnal creatures began to fill the silence. Rosalind and Leora reached a grove, where the trees were adorned with luminescent flowers that bathed the area in a soft, otherworldly glow. It was here that they decided to make camp for the night. Rosalind sat beneath one of the glowing trees, the starlight daisy's light mingling with the ethereal glow of the flowers. She felt a sense of calm and peace, the trials of the day fading into the background. Leora settled beside her, their bond of friendship growing stronger with each passing moment. As she drifted off to sleep, Rosalind's thoughts were filled with the promise of the journey ahead. The enchanted forest had welcomed her, its magic a constant companion. She knew that the challenges would grow more intense, but she felt ready. The light of the starlight daisy, the strength of her heart, and the support of her friends would guide her through the darkness. With the forest as her ally and the daisy as her guide, Rosalind was prepared for whatever lay ahead. The quest to reclaim the stolen crown and save her kingdom continued, and with each step, she moved closer to fulfilling her destiny. Chapter 2. The path of light dawn broke gently over the enchanted forest, the first rays of sunlight filtering through the dense canopy and casting a golden glow on the forest floor. Princess Rosalind awoke beneath the luminescent flowers, feeling rested and resolute. Leora, ever watchful, was already fluttering about, her tiny wings catching the morning light. "Good morning, Princess," Leora greeted, her voice filled with renewed energy. "The path ahead is long, but the starlight daisy's glow will continue to guide us." Rosalind rose, the starlight daisy's light still pulsing softly from her pouch. The forest, though filled with mystery, felt less foreboding in the light of day. With a determined nod, she and Leora set off, following the daisy's glow as it illuminated their path through the ancient woods. As they walked, the forest seemed to come alive with the day's awakening. Birds of vibrant hues sang melodious tunes, their songs harmonizing with the rustle of leaves and the distant murmur of a stream. Rosalind felt a deep connection to the forest, as if its magic was welcoming her, encouraging her to continue her quest. The path led them to a grove where the trees stood taller and closer together, their branches forming a natural archway. As they stepped through, they found themselves in a place where the air shimmered with enchantment. The ground was carpeted with moss, and tiny, luminescent creatures flitted about, leaving trails of light in their wake. "This is the heart of the forest," Leora explained, her voice hushed with reverence. "It is said that this place holds the essence of the forest's magic. Only those deemed worthy by the starlight daisy can pass through unscathed." Rosalind felt a tingling sensation as she walked, the air vibrating with unseen energy. The path became more defined, leading them to a crystal-clear stream that wound its way through the grove. The water sparkled with a life of its own, and Rosalind paused to drink from it, feeling a surge of vitality and clarity. They continued, the grove giving way to a meadow bathed in sunlight. The meadow was a riot of colours, with flowers of every hue blooming in wild abundance. In the centre of the meadow stood a large ancient tree, its branches heavy with silver leaves that shimmered in the breeze. "This tree," Leora said, pointing to the majestic oak, "is the tree of guidance. Its leaves are said to whisper secrets to those who seek wisdom." Rosalind approached the tree with reverence, placing her hand on its rough bark. She closed her eyes, letting the sounds of the forest fill her mind. The leaves rustled gently, and she felt a connection to the ancient magic that flowed through the tree. As she stood there, a vision unfolded before her eyes. She saw a path leading out of the enchanted forest, winding through a rocky terrain to a towering mountain. At the mountain's peak stood a dark fortress surrounded by swirling mists. She knew instinctively that this was Malika's lair, the place where the stolen crown was held captive. The vision faded, and Rosalind opened her eyes, her resolve strengthened. "We must head towards the mountains," she said to Leora. "The path is clear now." Leora nodded, her tiny face serious. "The journey will be treacherous, but the Starlight Daisy's light will continue to guide us. We must remain vigilant." With the tree of guidance behind them, Rosalind and Leora made their way out of the meadow and back into the denser part of the forest. The path was more challenging now, with underbrush and vines that seemed to reach out and grab at their feet. But the Starlight Daisy's glow was unwavering, a constant beacon that led them forward. As the day wore on, they encountered creatures both wondrous and strange. Some offered help, guiding them around dangerous areas or providing nourishment. Others tested their resolve, presenting riddles and challenges that required wit and bravery. Rosalind faced each challenge with determination, her heart buoyed by the daisy's light and the companionship of her loyal pixie friend. By twilight, they reached the edge of the enchanted forest, the towering mountains looming in the distance. The path ahead was daunting, but Rosalind felt a deep sense of purpose. She had been guided by Starlight through the forest, and now she stood ready to face the final leg of her journey. With the mountains as their next destination and the Starlight Daisy lighting their way, Rosalind and Leora prepared to leave the magical forest behind. The quest to reclaim the stolen crown and save the kingdom continued, and Rosalind's resolve had never been stronger. The challenges ahead were formidable, but with courage and the daisy's light, she knew she could overcome them. With the enchanted forest behind them and the mountains looming ahead, Rosalind and Leora ventured into the Forest of Whispers. The atmosphere changed as they entered, the air becoming cooler and tinged with an eerie stillness. The trees here were older, their gnarled branches twisting skyward like ancient hands reaching for the heavens. The light grew dimmer, filtered through the dense canopy, and the path became less clear. Rosalind felt a shiver run down her spine as she walked deeper into the forest. The whispers began almost immediately, soft and indistinct, like the murmurs of a distant crowd. At first, they were barely audible, a gentle hum in the background. But as they continued, the whispers grew louder, filling the air with a cacophony of voices. Leora flew closer to Rosalind, her wings shimmering with a faint glow. The Forest of Whispers is a place of hidden truths and long-forgotten secrets, she explained. The trees here hold memories of the past, and they will try to speak to you. You must listen carefully and discern what is important. Rosalind nodded, her senses heightened. She focused on the glow of the starlight daisy, its light a comforting presence amid the growing darkness. The whispers swirled around her, some voices familiar, others strange and disjointed. She heard fragments of conversations, snatches of laughter, and echoes of sorrow. It was overwhelming, and she struggled to make sense of it all. As they walked, Rosalind began to distinguish individual voices among the whispers. Some spoke of love and loss, others of battles fought and won. She heard tales of heroism and sacrifice, of joy and despair. It was as if the forest was sharing its collective memory with her, revealing the tapestry of its existence. One voice stood out among the others, clear and strong. It was the voice of her mother, Queen Seraphina, from a time long past. Rosalind, my brave child, remember the strength that lies within you. Trust in your heart, for it will guide you through the darkest of times. Tears filled Rosalind's eyes as she listened to her mother's words. They resonated deeply within her, a reminder of the love and wisdom that had shaped her. She took a deep breath, letting the strength of her mother's voice fill her heart. The whispers seemed to respond, their tone shifting to one of encouragement and support. As they ventured further, the forest grew denser, the path almost disappearing beneath a tangle of roots and vines. The whispers continued, guiding Rosalind with their subtle hints and warnings. She moved carefully, her steps deliberate, avoiding hidden pitfalls and obstacles. They reached a clearing where the trees parted to reveal a stone altar covered in ancient runes. The air here was charged with energy, the whispers growing more intense. Rosalind approached the altar, feeling the weight of the forest's history pressing down on her. Leora landed on her shoulder, her tiny voice filled with reverence. This is the altar of memories. It is said that those who stand before it can see visions of the past and future, revealing the truth of their journey. Rosalind placed her hand on the cool stone, the runes glowing faintly beneath her touch. The whispers converged into a single harmonious voice, filling her mind with a vision. She saw the kingdom of Seraphine, its people living in peace and harmony. She saw her parents, their faces radiant with pride and love. and she saw herself standing before Malika, the crown in her hands, a beacon of hope for her people. The vision shifted, showing the darkness that threatened to engulf the kingdom if she failed. Malika's shadow loomed large, his power growing with each passing day. Rosalind felt a surge of determination, her resolve solidifying into an unbreakable force. With renewed purpose, Rosalind stepped back from the altar. The whispers began to fade, their message delivered. She turned to Leora, a fire burning in her eyes. "We must hurry. The crown must be reclaimed, and Malika's darkness must be vanquished." Leora nodded, her wings fluttering with urgency. "The path ahead is still fraught with danger, but we are not alone. The forest has shown us the way, and the Starlight Daisy will continue to guide us." Together they left the forest of whispers, the echoes of the past still resonating in their hearts. The journey was far from over, but Rosalind felt a deep sense of clarity and strength. With each step, she moved closer to her destiny, guided by the light of the daisy and the whispers of the ancient forest. The mountains awaited, their peaks shrouded in mist. Rosalind knew that the final challenges lay ahead, but she was ready. With the courage of her ancestors and the wisdom of the forest, she would face whatever trials came her way. The quest to reclaim the stolen crown and restore peace to her kingdom continued, and Rosalind was prepared to see it through to the end. Leaving the forest of whispers behind, Rosalind and Leora approached the Valley of Echoes. The path wound down into a vast, rocky expanse flanked by sheer cliffs. The air here was different, charged with a palpable tension. The whispers of the forest had been haunting and secretive, but the echoes in this valley were a relentless assault on the senses, amplifying every sound into a cacophony of reverberations. Rosalind paused at the valley's edge, her breath catching as she took in the sight. The sky above was a deep azure, streaked with wisps of clouds, and the valley floor was dotted with peculiar luminescent stones that pulsed with an inner light. A faint, eerie melody filled the air, the echoes creating a symphony that resonated deep within her soul. Leora hovered beside her, her wings vibrating with tension. "This valley is unlike any other place, Princess. It will magnify your thoughts and emotions, forcing you to confront your deepest fears and insecurities. But remember, the Starlight Daisy will guide you through." Rosalind nodded, her resolve firm. She could feel the weight of the daisy against her side, its glow a comforting presence. Taking a deep breath, she stepped into the valley, the ground crunching beneath her feet. Each step seemed to echo infinitely, the sound bouncing off the cliffs and returning in a distorted, haunting melody. As they descended further, the echoes grew louder, filling the air with an almost tangible presence. Rosalind could hear her own heartbeat, amplified until it sounded like a drum, steady but insistent. The valley seemed to pulse with life, the echoes weaving together into a complex tapestry of sound. Rosalind felt a sudden rush of fear, the echoes picking up on her emotions and amplifying them. Voices began to swirl around her, mocking and taunting. "You are not strong enough," they jeered. "You will fail, and your kingdom will fall into darkness." She stopped, closing her eyes and focusing on the Starlight Daisy's glow. "I am stronger than my fears," she whispered to herself. "I carry the hope of Seraphine, and I will not be swayed." The echoes wavered, their taunts losing some of their potency. Leora flew closer, her voice a calming presence. "Focus on the light, princess. Let it guide you." With renewed determination, Rosalind pressed on, the echoes shifting in tone. They began to reflect her inner thoughts, moments of doubt interspersed with flashes of hope. She heard her own voice, speaking words of encouragement and resolve, battling against the darker whispers that sought to undermine her. The path through the valley twisted and turned, the terrain becoming more challenging. Rocks and boulders littered the way, and Rosalind had to navigate carefully, each step a test of her balance and agility. The echoes seemed to grow in intensity, the valley itself vibrating with their power. At one point, she stumbled, her foot catching on a loose stone. She fell to her knees, the echoes magnifying the sound of her fall until it seemed to shake the very ground. Pain shot through her leg, but she gritted her teeth, refusing to give in. She reached for the Starlight Daisy, its light a beacon of strength. "I will not give up," she whispered fiercely, pushing herself back to her feet. "For my kingdom, for my people, I will persevere." The echoes softened, as if acknowledging her determination. They began to change, reflecting her strength and courage rather than her fears. She could hear the voices of her parents, her friends, and the people of Seraphine, all urging her forward, their faith in her a powerful force. Finally, after what felt like hours, they reached the heart of the valley. The echoes here were almost deafening, a symphony of sound that reverberated through her entire being. In the center of the valley stood a towering stone monolith, its surface covered in ancient runes that glowed with a pulsating light. Rosalind approached the monolith, her heart pounding in her chest. She placed her hand on the cool stone, feeling its power resonate through her. The echoes seemed to converge, forming a single harmonious voice that filled her mind. "You have faced your fears and emerged stronger," the voice intoned. "The path ahead is fraught with danger, but your courage and determination will guide you. Trust in the light of the Starlight Daisy, and you will prevail." Rosalind stepped back, the echoes beginning to fade. She turned to Leora, her eyes shining with resolve. "We must continue. The end of our journey is near, and we must face whatever challenges await us." With the echoes of the valley still resonating in her heart, Rosalind and Leora made their way out of the Valley of Echoes. The mountains loomed closer, their peaks shrouded in mist, a reminder of the final trials that lay ahead. But Rosalind felt ready, her spirit bolstered by the strength she had found within herself. The quest to reclaim the stolen crown and save her kingdom continued, and Rosalind knew that with the Starlight Daisy's light, she would overcome any obstacle. The journey had tested her, but it had also shown her the depth of her courage and the power of her resolve. With each step, she moved closer to fulfilling her destiny. Emerging from the Valley of Echoes, Rosalind and Leora were greeted by the imposing sight of the mountains ahead. The peaks rose sharply into the sky, their tops obscured by swirling mists. The path leading to Malika's lair wound up the rocky slopes, steep and treacherous. The air was cold and thin, carrying a biting chill that hinted at the dangers to come. Rosalind wrapped her cloak tightly around her, feeling the weight of her quest pressing down upon her. The Starlight Daisy's glow was a comforting presence, its light steady and unwavering. With Leora by her side, she began the arduous climb, her steps sure and determined. The ascent was challenging, the path narrow and uneven. Rocks crumbled underfoot, and loose gravel threatened to send them tumbling down the mountainside. Yet Rosalind moved with a grace born of purpose, her mind focused on the goal ahead. The air grew colder, the mists thickening, but she pressed on, her heart fortified by the trials she had already faced. As they climbed, the landscape changed, becoming more barren and desolate. The trees thinned out, replaced by jagged rocks and patches of snow. The wind howled through the crags, its mournful wail echoing in the vast emptiness. It was a harsh, unforgiving place, a stark contrast to the lush beauty of the enchanted forest and the eerie mystery of the Valley of Echoes. After several hours of climbing, they reached a plateau where a massive stone gate stood, half buried in the mountain. The gate was carved with intricate runes, glowing faintly in the dim light. It was a relic of ancient times, a barrier that had stood for centuries, guarding the entrance to Malika's lair. Leora hovered beside Rosalind, her wings shimmering with apprehension. "Beyond this gate lies Malika's domain," she said softly. "The crown is within, but it is guarded by a formidable creature. We must be prepared for a great challenge." Rosalind nodded, her grip tightening on the pouch containing the Starlight Daisy. She stepped forward, placing her hand on the cold stone of the gate. The runes flared to life, their light intensifying as if recognizing her presence. The gate rumbled and slowly began to open, revealing a dark passageway leading into the heart of the mountain. They entered the passage, the air growing colder and the darkness pressing in around them. The light of the daisy illuminated the way, casting long shadows on the rough stone walls. The tunnel wound deeper into the mountain, each step echoing in the silence. After what seemed like an eternity, they emerged into a vast cavern. The ceiling was lost in darkness, and the air was filled with an oppressive sense of foreboding. In the center of the cavern, atop a pedestal of black stone, rested the royal crown. Its gold gleamed in the dim light, and it was adorned with precious gems that sparkled like stars. But between Rosalind and the crown stood a guardian, a creature of nightmarish proportions. It was a massive beast, its body covered in scales as dark as midnight. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and its claws were long and razor-sharp. It let out a low growl, the sound reverberating through the cavern. Rosalind took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. The starlight daisy's glow brightened, casting a protective aura around her. She stepped forward, her voice steady and commanding. "I have come to reclaim the crown of Seraphine. Stand aside or face the light of the starlight daisy." The beast roared, a sound that shook the very walls of the cavern. It lunged at Rosalind, its claws slashing through the air. But the daisy's light flared, creating a barrier that repelled the creature. The guardian snarled in frustration, its eyes burning with fury. Rosalind stood her ground, her resolve unshaken. She focused on the light of the daisy, channeling its power. The cavern filled with a brilliant radiance, the daisy's magic pushing back the darkness. The beast hesitated, its form wavering in the intense light. "Leave this place," Rosalind commanded, her voice echoing with authority. "Your time as guardian is over." With the final roar, the creature retreated, vanishing into the shadows from whence it came. The light of the daisy dimmed to a gentle glow, the cavern now silent and still. Rosalind approached the pedestal, her heart racing with triumph. She reached out and took the crown, its weight a reassuring presence in her hands. The gems sparkled in the light of the daisy, a symbol of the kingdom's hope and prosperity. Turning to Leora, Rosalind smiled, her eyes shining with determination. "We have the crown. Now we must return it to Seraphine and restore the kingdom's peace." With the crown reclaimed and the guardian vanquished, Rosalind and Leora began the journey back through the mountain. The path ahead was still fraught with challenges, but Rosalind felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had faced her fears, overcome the darkness, and reclaimed the symbol of her kingdom's strength. The quest was nearing its end, and with the starlight daisy's light guiding her, Rosalind knew that she would succeed. With the crown securely in her grasp, Rosalind and Leora began their descent from the mountain. The path was steep and treacherous, but Rosalind's heart was buoyed by their victory over the Guardian. The starlight daisy's light continued to shine brightly, guiding them safely through the winding passages and rugged terrain. As they approached the base of the mountain, the landscape transformed once more. The air grew warmer, and the scent of blooming flowers mingled with the crisp, fresh scent of pine. They emerged into a wide open glade bathed in golden sunlight, a stark contrast to the dark, foreboding cavern they had left behind. Rosalind felt a sense of relief and accomplishment, but she knew their journey was not yet complete. They had reclaimed the crown, but the final test awaited them, the confrontation with Malika. The dark sorcerer's lair lay ahead, shrouded in shadow and mystery. Leora, sensing Rosalind's thoughts, fluttered beside her. "We have come far, Princess, but the greatest challenge still lies ahead. Malika's power is immense, and he will not relinquish his hold on the kingdom easily." Rosalind nodded, her resolve firm. "I am ready, Leora. The Starlight Daisy has guided us this far, and it will continue to light our way. Together, we will face whatever trials await us." As they moved through the glade, a sudden chill swept over them. The sunlight dimmed, and the air grew thick with an unnatural fog. The ground beneath their feet began to tremble, and a deep, rumbling voice echoed through the glade. "Who dares to challenge me?" the voice boomed, filled with malice and power. "I am Malika, Master of Darkness. You will not succeed in your foolish quest." Rosalind stood tall, the crown held high in her hands. "I am Princess Rosalind of Seraphine," she declared, her voice strong and unwavering. "I have reclaimed the crown, and I will restore peace to my kingdom. Your reign of terror ends here." The fog thickened, swirling around them like a living entity. From its depths, Malika emerged, his form tall and imposing. His eyes glowed with an eerie light, and his robes billowed like smoke. He raised his hand, and the ground cracked open, dark tendrils of shadow snaking towards Rosalind and Leora. Rosalind felt a surge of fear, but she quickly pushed it aside. She focused on the Starlight Daisy's glow, its light piercing through the fog and illuminating the darkness. "Your magic cannot harm us, Malika," she said, her voice steady. "The light of the daisy will protect us." Malika sneered, his eyes narrowing. "You think a mere flower can defeat me? I will show you the true meaning of fear." With the flick of his wrist, he unleashed a torrent of dark energy. The shadows coalesced into a monstrous form, its eyes glowing with malevolence. The creature lunged at Rosalind, its claws outstretched, but the daisy's light flared, creating a barrier that repelled the attack. Rosalind stood her ground, her heart pounding. She could feel the daisy's magic flowing through her, filling her with a sense of courage and determination. She stepped forward, the crown held firmly in her hands. "You will not prevail, Malika. The light will always triumph over darkness." With those words, she channeled the daisy's light into the crown. The gems began to glow, their brilliance growing until they radiated like stars. The light intensified, enveloping Malika and his dark creation in a blinding blaze. Malika screamed, his form writhing as the light seared through him. The shadows dissipated, and the fog lifted, revealing the glade in all its natural beauty. The dark sorcerer fell to his knees, his power broken and his spirit shattered. Rosalind approached him, her expression one of resolve and compassion. "Your reign of darkness is over, Malakar. Surrender, and perhaps you can find redemption." Malakar looked up, his eyes filled with a mix of fear and regret. He bowed his head, the fight gone from him. "You have defeated me, Princess. The light of the Starlight Daisy is stronger than I could have ever imagined. I surrender." Rosalind nodded, a sense of peace settling over her. She turned to Leora, who smiled with pride. "We did it, Princess. The kingdom is saved." With the crown restored and Malakar's power vanquished, Rosalind and Leora began their journey back to Seraphine. The path was clear, the sunlight bright and warm. The Starlight Daisy's glow had guided them through darkness and danger, and now it led them home. The kingdom awaited, its people hopeful and eager for the return of their princess. Rosalind felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that she had faced her fears and triumphed. With the Starlight Daisy's light, she had brought peace and hope to her land. And so, the quest ended as it had begun, with the promise of light and a future filled with possibilities. Rosalind's heart was full, her spirit unbreakable. She was ready to lead her kingdom into a new era, guided by the light of the Starlight Daisy and the strength of her own courage. The journey back to Seraphine was one of joy and triumph. The path that had been so treacherous now seemed almost welcoming. The mountains and forests offering a silent salute to Princess Rosalind and her faithful companion Leora. The Starlight Daisy, still glowing brightly, guided them through the last leg of their quest, its light a beacon of hope and victory. As they approached the borders of Seraphine, Rosalind felt a surge of anticipation. The kingdom she loved, with its rolling hills and sparkling rivers, lay just ahead. The news of her return seemed to travel faster than she did, for as she and Leora entered the main road leading to the capital, they were met by throngs of villagers, their faces alight with joy and relief. "Princess Rosalind has returned!" they cried, their voices rising in a jubilant chorus. "She has brought back the crown!" Rosalind's heart swelled with pride and love for her people. She waved and smiled, her eyes shining with tears of happiness. The villagers threw flowers in her path and cheered her on, their faith in her a palpable force. As they neared the palace, the gates swung open, and King Alaric and Queen Seraphina stood waiting, their faces radiant with pride and relief. Rosalind dismounted from her horse and rushed to embrace her parents, the crown held high in her hands. "My brave daughter," King Alaric said, his voice choked with emotion. "You have done what many believed impossible. You have saved our kingdom." Queen Seraphina held Rosalind close, tears streaming down her cheeks. "We always believed in you, Rosalind. Your courage and strength have brought light back." to Seraphine. The court and the people of the capital gathered in the grand courtyard, their faces reflecting a mixture of awe and admiration. Rosalind stepped forward, the crown gleaming in the sunlight, and addressed her people. "My dear friends and subjects," she began, her voice clear and strong. "Today, we celebrate the return of the crown and the triumph of light over darkness. This victory belongs to all of us, for it is our love, our courage, and our unity that have brought us through this dark time. The Starlight Daisy has guided us, reminding us that even in the darkest of nights, there is always a light to lead us home." A cheer rose from the crowd, a sound of pure joy and triumph. Rosalind turned and ascended the steps to the throne room, her parents by her side. Inside, the grand hall was filled with courtiers and nobles, all eager to witness the return of the crown to its rightful place. With solemn grace, Rosalind approached the throne. She held the crown aloft, its jewels catching the light and casting a myriad of colours across the hall. She placed it on the cushion where it belonged, its presence a symbol of restored peace and prosperity. The Starlight Daisy, sensing its purpose fulfilled, began to fade. Its glow softened until it was no more than a delicate, ordinary flower once again. Rosalind felt a pang of sadness, but also a profound gratitude. The daisy had guided her through her darkest trials, and now it returned to its place in legend, its duty complete. The days that followed were filled with celebrations. Feasts were held, and stories of Rosalind's bravery were told around countless firesides. The kingdom of Seraphine rejoiced, their hearts light and their future bright. Rosalind, though now a celebrated hero, remained humble. She spent her days with her people, ensuring that the peace and prosperity they had fought for would endure. She visited the royal gardens often, where a new Starlight Daisy had begun to grow, a silent testament to the magic and courage that had saved the kingdom. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of colours, Rosalind stood in the gardens, reflecting on her journey. Leora joined her, the pixie's wings shimmering in the twilight. "You have done well, Princess," Leora said softly. "The kingdom is safe, and your people are happy." Rosalind smiled, her heart filled with contentment. "We did it together, Leora. The Starlight Daisy showed us the way, but it was our courage and love that brought us through." The pixie nodded, her eyes twinkling with pride. "Indeed, Rosalind, the light within you was always the strongest guide." As the first stars appeared in the night sky, Rosalind felt a deep sense of peace. She knew that whatever challenges the future might hold, the light of the Starlight Daisy would always be with her, a reminder of the strength and courage that lay within. And so, the story of Princess Rosalind and the Starlight Daisy became a cherished legend in the kingdom of Seraphine, a tale of hope and bravery that would be told for generations to come.